again to the North Tahoe Women's Club for allowing me to come in and tell you of my experience that started over a glass of wine. So I'll tell you more about that later.
After lunch, she'll get to hear. And
is it only one glass?
No.
Some of you may know my friend Connie Meyer, and she and I were having a glass of wine. And I said I always wanted to have a vintage Santa. Now, coming from my interior design background, I had access to a lot of fine fabrics, and with all the wonderful high-end garage sales we have here, there was a furrier with mink and so forth. And so she and I both came up with our own Santa. So the Santa is a fabricated face, a porcelain face and hands from Michael's Arts. And it has the porcelain beard. And so, you know, of course, that's it. We get the hair and we do this, and we created one each for ourselves. Then people wanted to buy them. Then all of a sudden, 125 later, they were all one of a kind. But anyway, it started this creation, and then a dear friend says, I'd like a female Mrs. Claus. And I said, unless she has a beard. I can't do it. So I started investigating on sculpting. So I was so proud of this, and I brought this home, and I had sculpted. This is the clay that you bake in an oven. And my husband says, well, it's got 4 fingers. But I did it. Okay, so anyway, not a big demand here. But the point is that it was the beginning of finally learning how to use the oven, baking with the clay. And there were 2 particular artists and instructors that showed me the anatomy of the fingers and the scale and so forth. Well, it's natural for me as an interior designer to work with fabrics, and I taught antiques and collectibles. So I found this great barrel. So what better than a drunk monk? See, it goes back to the wine again. So by sculpting these, it gave me another venue, and I was selling them at the New York Toy Fair, the Jacob Javits. And so from there, a dear friend of mine, Yum Yum, she says, gee, there's an artist in town, and she's going to be, she sculpts, and her medium is bronze. And I said, well, I'm not keen on bronze, but I like the idea of studying with somebody. So wherever everybody else in the class was like doing little ornaments, I come in with a photo of the Spirit Seeker. And I said, I'd like to do this one. And she says, well, I can see your sculpting ability. Why don't we try it? So when I was selling some of my other work at Art Tour here in town, I had this in clay, and I had a plexiglass put over it and said, bronze in progress. And I went, show me. Woman comes in, she says, I want it. And then I build out with foil, so I don't use so much clay. And then I start sculpting it, and I always have a storyboard. A storyboard name comes to me in dream state. You know, I'll think of the name and then create something. But I did want to create this one. It just looked like living on the edge. And so you'll notice there's just sort of a little peek out of a bird. That'll be like a branch coming out of a mountain. This one has the bird on top of his head. This is called Friend or Foul. And this goat I saw at a Sedona farm, goat farm. And they had big fat chickens. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put it, and the name came to me first. friend are foul. And done, they may cut his neck off and create a mold. Because think of a popsicle. You can only pull it apart, and every time a casting is made, they have to create what is called the lost wax process.